I took a picture of the car thermometer on the way over. It was 1. It's like, oh, that's chilly. Car said the roads might be icy. Not sure why. But we have in our readings this morning celebrations. Isaiah is speaking to a people who had been released from captivity in Babylon, only to come home to Jerusalem to find the walls torn down, their homes in ruin. Isaiah's words of comfort to them were that people who had been desolate would again flourish. It was a prayer as well as a prophecy. Not long after that time, Nehemiah led the people in rebuilding the walls, in rebuilding the homes, in reclaiming Jerusalem for themselves, taking action through and with God working in them and amongst them. They brought that vitality, that life, back to their community, reclaiming their identity, reclaiming their homes. We have those words of exaltation in this morning's psalm. We have those words again in our reading from Paul's first letter to the Corinthians, as he talks to them about the various gifts that each are given through the Spirit. He spoke to a community that was quibbling about who had the best gifts. And his reminder was, the gifts all come from the Spirit. They're not yours in the first place. Each of them is equal. Each of them is important. And if you bring them all together to help each other, they will create a flourishing community. And then we have this morning's gospel reading as we accompany Jesus and his disciples and Mary to the wedding in Cana. A wedding feast is a time of abundance. It's a time of inviting friends and family to celebrate for oftentimes several days at a feast where, when the abundance gives out, it's a disgrace to the family. And so when Mary tells Jesus the wine has run out, she's making a problem his that isn't his. And he says, what is this to you and to me? We're not the hosts. We're not the bride or the groom. We're just guests. But Mary knows. Mary knows that A, Jesus can do something about this, and B, she decides he should. So she tells the stewards, go fill up the servants to go fill up these 20 and 30 gallon containers. So we suddenly have 120 to 180 gallons of apparently the best wine at the party. And this is the abundance that is inexhaustible. They couldn't go through that much wine if they had a month to celebrate. That is the abundance that we have at our disposal in love, in compassion, in forgiveness, in care for one another. And it's that we're called on not just to keep to ourselves, but we have this gift and we should share it. So we're called on to bring it into our communities, into all of our relationships, into every encounter that we have. Yesterday was the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday, and tomorrow we celebrate with our holiday and the annual parade in Denver. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a little while. But can any of us imagine if Dr. King hadn't shared his dream? Having that dream and sharing it is what made it come alive in our world, is what made a difference, is what inspired us to see each other in a different way. A dream of each person being valued for their intrinsic human dignity, no matter who they are, no matter what their race or their gender, no matter who they love. As this dream continues to grow in our world and in our awareness, we continue to add more and more elements of equality, more and more elements of not just acceptance, but celebration. We heard in our conversations last Lent from Shaniqua Broken Leg that in his native community, difference is seen as sacred, not as something to be feared, but as something to be celebrated, embraced, something that enriches the community with the unique gifts that it brings. Each of us is gifted with those unique abilities. Each of us is gifted from the Holy Spirit with something that seems so easy that it's to us commonplace. I remember when I was discerning my call, I always fell back on the priesthood because it was something that seemed easy and seemed like home. And as I came to understand, it's kind of terrifying to a lot of people, the prospect of being a priest. It's not an easy thing. But when you're called to it, when it is your gift, it just feels like home. I've watched my daughter Eva light up the room just by her presence. And she doesn't think it's anything. Who am I that people should be excited to see me? And yet, it's one of her gifts. She makes people feel good by her presence, by how she treats them. Each of us has an incredible wealth of gifts that we're given. Whether it's in organizing and leadership, whether it's in brightening someone's day, or in prayer, giving someone a hug when they need it. Each of us is tasked with bringing those gifts. It doesn't matter if it's our responsibility or if it's our business to bring that gift to bear. But it is that we have them and that we get to share them with each other. That we get to make our community thrive and flourish by bringing our gifts together, whether we're asked to or not. This Sunday, as we celebrate the new things that God is doing in our lives and in our world, and tomorrow, as we celebrate the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday, as we celebrate the gifts and the dreams that make our communities thrive and grow and flourish, we remember that those new things that God brings to life can sometimes be scary. Change is often seen as loss or as experienced with trepidation and fear. But it's one of the only guarantees we have is that things are always going to change. And the best ways that we have to approach it is to approach it through the lens of those gifts that make the world a better place. Looking for the giftedness in each moment. Looking for the Spirit's presence in those new things. We get to be part of this. As followers of Christ, we get to bring our gifts together and make the world a better place. And so as we ponder on the 180 gallons of the best wine ever, let us remember that each of us has a gift of well-aged wine to bring to our communities, to our relationships, and to each other. And let us not only know that we have them, but risk actually using them.